Mark, what's going on? You obviously have been reading Martian Manhunter.
Yeah, my face is stuck like this now.
Exactly. Um, what's better than talking about one comic? Talking about three comics. We're going to do all that right after this. Before we get started, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, leave us a comment, and hit the like button. Just that little thumbs up right down there. It helps with the algorithm gods. So we have not one, not two, but three different comics to talk about this week because we have Absolute Wonder Woman #7, we had Absolute Martian Manhunter #2, and we have part two of the We Are Yesterday Justice League Unlimited #6. So we're going to start with Absolute Wonder Woman, #7. This is the second part of a two-part story, kind of an interlude between the two, between the major story arcs that are coming along. If you recall, Wonder Woman was Diana was down in hell, talking to Hades, who had captured her mother.
Yeah, they weren't getting along.
hmm No, not at all.
Wonder Woman had bested his beasties and showed up wanting mom, and she had uh de-armed all of her weapons and called out Hades
Exactly. So we start where a lot of DC Comics seem to start nowadays.
in the past.
Before.
Yeah, before. Yeah,
Yeah.
we see young Diana running around on the wild isles where another deity appears to her. We've seen one pretty consistently, but now Lady Persephone appears,
Mhm.
and it's really cool, portrayed as like almost like a goddess of life, almost like Tefiti almost, and where things just grow around her in a place of just pure death. It was very, very cool.
Right. For those of you who are not up on your Greek stories, Persephone is the wife of Hades, and
Reluctantly,
she is stuck in hell.
yeah, it's not a big fan of it, but
Right.
she teaches Wonder Woman about about how she got stuck there.
Yes, and how she may be able to do something that may at some point be able to help Diana, and it involves a pomegranate. Um, so then we go back to then we flash to now. So we have before and we have now, or the two major time themes that
Two
DC
most
does.
important times in any comic book these days.
Exactly,
But as
exactly.
of now, she's in front of Hades still, but in his arena, battling this tiger creature, and Hades is just kind of sitting there onlooking with Persephone next to him. Persephone not really feeling it. Hades just having fun at the carnage that he's creating.
Yep. So we get the battle, and we see Persephone make a comment, and then we get one of the favorite parts of that Mark enjoys almost every comic, and that is the two-page title page.
Yeah, it is really nice. The little splash page really gets you in there. It gets
Yeah,
you in there. And the coolest part is right when you turn it, we go back to before. We did run
exactly.
into a lot of that in this issue, the before and now. But this time before, we have Diana sleeping and her mom praying to her god
Hey,
Hecate,
Hecate.
Hecate, please give me a sign. I need an answer. I need help. Like we gotta do something. Diana's not made for this world. Blah 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 blah. And Hecate appears to her through a fire and says, like, hey, I'm busy. There's a lot of God stuff happening around here, but I got you covered. And a book falls off a shelf, a book that she'd never seen in her house before. And it's a book telling the story of the Lady of the Tiger. And it's pretty much a story that she reads to Diana about how this princess and a lover's triangle kind of thing. And the lover gets sent to the arena and she finds out who his love is. And she's kind of torn between giving him a choice in the arena of two doors. One door is like to his freedom, and one door is to certain death with a tiger behind it. And the story leaves us not knowing which door she sent the love to. And Diana's not happy with the way the story ends. And you kind of get Diana growing through the ages, kind of reassessing that story with her mom telling her maybe when you're older, you'll see something different in the story. And you kind of get to see all the different ways she kind of interprets it as she gets older through this issue.
Yeah, we flash back to more things going on with the battle between the current tiger that she's battling, but that's only one page, and then we flash back again to your point to before, and we see more of Diana growing up, and we see we
Reflecting on the
we
story at the older age.
exactly. Exactly. Trying to figure out exactly what it means for her. We see her mother, consoling her. And basically, we get the end of the story, and that's basically when she tells her the end. She's like, "That's the end. That's it." Um, and we go back to now. We continue to see Diana again, just one page, continually battling the tiger. Persephone and Hades are playing their little word, their little back and forth. Um, and we jump back again to before.
Yeah, it just does this back and forth. You get a page of a battle, then a
Yeah,
page with Diana progressively older, reassessing the meaning of that story. And it's
right,
just progressing us through the battle, ultimately taking us toward the end of the battle where Diana has taken that knowledge over the years of that story and has applied it to this fight she's in for the life of her mother.
right. She basically taunts Hades. She tries to get the tiger to relent because she says, she doesn't want to kill the tiger. Realizing that's not going to happen, she basically snaps her neck. Um,
Apologize though. That was sweet of her.
that was. I'm sorry, I just killed you.
Yeah, sorry.
Um,
You got to go.
right.
Yeah, ultimately
uh,
winning the battle puts Diana in the position of the character from the story that she read throughout her growing uppins. She's now the challenger in the arena, with Hades now in control of the two doors, one to freedom, one to certain death, and now Persephone, was that her name?
yep.
Is the woman on the wall that can give her the information to kind of insinuate which door to choose, like behind this one's death and behind this one's life.
Right. And so Diana has won. She's free to leave Hell, but if she leaves Hell, she can't come back, which means that she'll never see her mother again. And that's when Persephone says, "Ah, but not exactly," because she basically has had Diana. She's given her this pomegranate, which through the pomegranate she's able to go into Hell for 1 month at a time, and then leave. So come and go. Which is basically wipes out all the plan that Hades had for Diana.
Yeah, ultimately, she put Hades in a situation where he had to choose allowing Wonder Woman's return to Hades on this temporary basis or losing Persephone forever.
Right.
And he couldn't stand for Persephone to have bested him, so he relents and gives Diana this passage. And she even found a loophole in that. As long as she doesn't physically touch the wild isle or lay her feet in hell, her time does not start. So she takes her mother home, never touching the ground, flying, having a nice little farewell conversation with her. And until next time.
Exactly. When we will talk about the maze. So I'm wondering if we're going to get maybe the Minotaur and
Mm.
Midas, because that's what the maze was all about, I believe, in Greek mythology. So
Mhm.
then we get a couple of pages which are by Dustin Gwynn. They're
Young
kind of
Diana.
young Diana. So it just doesn't seem like it. I mean, it doesn't seem like it fits with the rest of
Not
the
for me.
story. Yeah,
Not for
exactly.
me.
Yeah,
This was beautifully crafted. Like the way that the story was mapped out, laid out, and the narrative that they put through it with again the before and now really worked in this sense because everything in the before time set up the now. Because most of the stuff in present time was just quick fighting pages and stuff like that, and all the story was happening in the flashbacks. And then when we get to the end of the battle, the face off with Hades, it was just all set up beautifully for this big reveal moment where they've took this whole lifetime of knowledge and applied it to this dire situation, and it really gave it a lot of weight. And Kelly Thompson is really flexing her abilities and really showing off what she's capable of with this title. It's absolutely amazing.
yeah, absolutely. And she's embracing all of the kind of like George President when he wrote it, embracing all of the mythology part of it and everything, and bringing them weaving it into her story and everything. So yeah, she's really doing a great job. So
Knocked it out of the park.
absolutely.
And who was this artist, real quick? Because it wasn't the regular Sherman. It wasn't the artist from the last one. So this is the second fill-in artist for this 2-issue layover. Is that all this was?
Yeah, and Mattia de Julius, de Louis, de Uis.
Don't ask me. You know I'll butcher it.
Exactly.
That's why I
Um,
asked you. I can see the
but,
name. I'm looking
but
at it, but I wasn't going to attempt it.
Hayden Sherman will be back next issue though.
Okay.
So So, how do we talk about this?
I can try
Okay.
if you want, because there's really this one's almost it's next to impossible to do a play by play through
Right.
because a lot of this issue is just John Jones. It left us in issue one. The important part is the last page is him realizing something is inside him talking
Mhm.
to him. The presence of the Martian Manhunter. He's not a shape shifting alien. It's an
Right.
outside entity that has inhabited John Jones, and it is revealed that it's revealed to him at the end of the first issue. So this issue is entirely him walking through the city, talking to it, trying to even believe if it's actually there, trying to understand what it's saying because it's talking in almost like a broken form of English. It doesn't structure sentences the way we do. It was getting real Zatanna-ish, and it needs to watch its P's and Q's, if you ask me. But the Martian kind of reveals that like it exists farther than the known galaxy is long. It's like showing like what it could be, or you can't even process what it would look like or what its language is like. And we get some of that, but it's really just him bumbling through the city with abstract visions and the Martian talking to him just trying to come to terms with it. And it's trying to warn him through this whole time that we need to go over there because in 15 minutes, the shooter will happen. And then that just kind of is said in passing. And John and the Martian are still just bumbling through the city. And then 2 pages later, we need to go over there, like I said, because in 10 minutes and then
Mhm.
in 5 minutes. And then they just stumble to the point where there's an active shooter situation and John is like FBI agent on the scene. The Martian takes to action just naturally, goes and inhabits this guy, gets inside, and they did this really cool thing where we get to see the Martian's dialogue breaking down the psychic walls of this guy who's clearly mentally unstable, and it goes through some actual like physical mental
Mhm.
terms that would be associated with somebody going through real life situations, and there were like specific barriers, and this one mental condition is attached to these symptoms and he's getting through the symptoms to break down this one wall and break down this wall, and as he's about to get to the core of this person to hopefully stop the situation, the police officer on the scene takes a fatal shot and takes the guy out. But then you turn the page and it's ultimately revealed that Martian Manhunter was in there long enough to realize that this guy wasn't just a loony bin. He had been attacked and infected by a white Martian
By a
who
white
was
Martian.
here to destroy the world.
Right.
Hmm.
Yeah, and it's and to your point, as he's walking through the city, he's also experiencing the different powers of Martian Manhunter as well because he's hearing things, from different people that he's passing on the street. He's got like six different things, that's discussions that or thoughts from people coming at him at the same time. Um, so yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah, very
he's
good.
reading minds
Hmm.
unintentionally. It's just
Right.
and it's all done so very abstractly like that it's really an experience you as the reader go on an experience with John because you can spend a lot of time on these pages. He's having flashbacks where the Martian is experiencing his whole life
Hmm.
like from a ununiform temporal aspect. It's freaking wild. It's weird. This is definitely total indie book in a non-indie title, but in a
Yeah.
good way.
And having said all that, it also though is setting up who has typically over at least the recent history of the Martian Manhunter has been his nemesis, which is the White Martians.
Yeah, what's
So
dope is we do see the white Martian as well. Also, when the cop takes that shot, the way that all the colors come out like it's Martian Manhunter leaving him kind of thing, that was so unique. But he's kind of drawn like with smooth round
mhm,
edges, he's got the round head. We see the white Martian and he's almost done like static coming out of a TV, which I thought was pretty cool. How he sees the
and,
white Martian, then it goes blurry, then comes out all staticky and stuff
mm,
as he infected the shooter back whenever it happened. But it was a unique read, that's for sure.
yeah, even as unique as it was, though, I'm enjoying it.
Oh yeah, I had a blast with it.
Mm.
I kept turning the page, waiting for another little Martian vision kind of moment that they did with the first one. I'm like, I want to do it again.
Okay, so those are the absolute books. No absolute books next week because it's a week. It's a fifth week, so there's no absolute books next week. But we will,
Oh,
however, get another part of this. So besides Absolute, we're also covering the We Are Yesterday, which is the first crossover of the All In era between the World's Finest and Justice League Unlimited. If you recall, in part one, we were in the Gorilla City. Gorilla Grodd had attempted to escape. Um, Superman and Batman, with some help, and Flash managed to capture him. But at the very end, Grodd from the future has come and inhabited the Grodd of the past, and he has a plan now that he's going to use to take over the world.
Yeah.
And that's kind
And
of where we
if the first part was just a setup, this part is the exposition dump. They give it to us in full with this issue of the where, what, and why for Gorilla Grodd.
exactly. The whole, first 7 or 8 pages anyway is just basically Grodd talking about his entire plan and what has happened to him, how he is where he is, how he came to be possessed by the future Grodd, or how, because this is the future Grodd talking, how he came back to possess him in the past, um,
And
and
how
how
he
he
expanded his powers.
correct. He basically, if you recall, at the end of Absolute Power. Um, Everyone's powers were kind of, for the most part, were kind of mixed up, and so when they went back to people, they didn't necessarily go back to the people that they originally came from, and Gorilla Grodd ended up with the Martian Manhunter's powers.
Which explains the vibrant color kind of crown that he's wearing, which is very reminiscent of what we're seeing portrayed in Absolute Martian Manhunter.
Correct.
So he's got this increased abilities. He's already telepathic and stuff, and now he's got the increased abilities from Martian Manhunter, giving the
Right.
ability to reach farther and stronger and command even more than before. And now he's like, with this power, I need a team.
Right. And so we see him talking, and we see him looking at who are his rogue gallery, or the people that were in the Legion of Doom with him in the present. And he says basically, well, you know what? They're not really, they're degraded, or they're not even, they've
Like we mentioned
changed,
before,
or
they're other places doing things. Sinestro's in space. Lex
right,
is a good, like, not a bad guy right now. They're busy. These guys
right,
ain't gonna cut it. I need the best of them from yesterday.
right. So he goes back, but he has a plan that's going to actually help him not only to travel through time, but also to work in and kind of get in with the Justice League Unlimited and their satellite and everything, the Watchtower, and he's going to use Airwave. Who, if you recall again from Absolute Power, it was Airwave that basically transmitted to the entire world all the bad stuff that Amanda Waller was doing, and made sure that everyone saw the fact that the heroes were not, doing what Amanda Waller was showing that they were doing.
Accusing him of. He blew the
Exactly.
whistle. He blew the whistle. He's one of the new Golden Age characters in the Jeff Johns stuff when they opened the whole slew of characters thanks to the Time Masters that were lost in time. It's a modern era Golden Age character who's kind of out of place and stuff. And Grodd saw him as an easy target and messed with his mind and used him to infiltrate the Watchtower and kind of get the drop on him and get the beat on him. And it worked like a charm because the Airwave completely fell for it. Didn't know these people from the present enough or trust them, and Grodd played him.
Right. Until at one point, so he manages to first of all place this image inside of Airwave that there's a whole battle going on. Um, as the battle is ending, we see Grodd come in and basically kind of save him, and then he kind of leads him into this. These people are not your friends. They basically have taken over the world. He basically does what and God does a repeat of what Waller had done in many ways,
Mm-hmm.
only just on Airwave. And
While
then he
actually
says,
manipulating his brain too. The kid's not that big of
right,
a doofus. He's just pushing the right button, showing him what he needs to see. Just that gentle nudge.
right. And then he said, but he can't totally take him over because he thinks that the heroes will see that. So then he says, did they tell you that you're dying? Basically, type of a thing. And then he's like, "What?" And he's like, he convinces him that he is have some sort of tachyon poisoning or whatever that is killing him. But not only is it killing him, but it's kind of erasing him through time. So if they don't deal with it, he's going to basically end up
Never
not
have
existing at all.
existed.
Right.
Meaning all the people he saved could potentially die, all the villains he put away could potentially go free, and that's too big of a risk to take. I've got to help Grodd so that he can help me.
Right.
So
Um,
while he's doing this and keeping tabs on the Justice League, Grodd's traveling through time, collecting the best of the villains from the era he wants, convincing them to help him, and getting some time traveling tools along the way, where he gathers them all at the Legion of Doom, and not just any Legion of Doom, the one that you're thinking of, rising out of the swamp, shaped like Darth Vader's helmet. He's got them all there. And that's about the time Airwave shows up to meet who he's actually working for.
right. And that's when he realizes that when he sees the Joker, he's like, "Look, even I know the Joker. I'm not going to lie myself with the Joker."
Like, yo, this is
Um,
crazy.
yeah, exactly. Um, you'd be like, "I was born during the day, but not yesterday." Um, he then realizes that he's been played. We see the Justice League go and attack, but as they attack, Airwave decides to attack Grodd as well, and out of nowhere, Grodd shoots him with what looks to be some sort of an energy type of thing or a time type thing, or maybe just energy. And he's either disintegrated or maybe he's just sent through time or whatever.
He
We'll
looks
find out
like a
probably
smear
more.
on the floor, though, don't he?
Yeah, he does kind of, yeah.
But he
So
said he did make a statement like I'm going to need that kind of energy later. So I'm sure Airwave will be fine.
yeah.
But about that time, the Justice League pops in with this beautiful page splash. Did you see that? Oh my god! Right behind Airwave's
Mhm.
questionable existence, they roll in hot on his heels, ready to fight, and it doesn't
Yeah,
work because they just get blasted too.
right. And we say basically that the war begins. It will continue um, next week, and it'll be in a double-sized issue because it is in the Batman Superman World's Finest annual.
Which is
Uh,
good because it's a fifth week, and that means we're not going to have a lot of books.
correct, correct. So we have World's Finest annual. I think we have a Detective Comics annual, and then the Long Halloween I think is there, but not a lot of books next week for DC anyway. So. But yeah, so we'll be halfway through We Are Yesterday by the end of next week. Um, but totally looking forward to it. Mark Waid, it's good to have Mark Waid is actually writing both titles because you don't have a writer that's just kind of coming in and trying to fitting his little piece and everything that's going on. So um, it's amazing, just like 4 or 5 years ago, like Mark Waid couldn't get a job at DC Comics
Which
when
is
Dan
crazy.
DiDio
Now
wasn't
he
around.
is DC
Exactly.
Comics,
Yeah, exactly. And I'm sure he's loving it because he's always had an affinity for DC Comics. So, yeah,
that's crazy to think.
yeah, him and Dan DiDio did not get along. So, yeah, I don't know.
Dan's writing at Mad Cave, doing a little bit of it. He did Defenders of the Earth.
Yeah, yep, yep,
He left to go do Quibi. Do you remember that? Most people
yeah,
probably won't,
yeah.
but Quibi.
And then he aligned himself with Frank Miller for a little while. Um,
Frank seems to be doing fine.
yeah, Frank Miller was doing some of his own stuff, but I don't think he's doing this Frank Miller stuff anymore. He's still doing the Defenders of the Earth though. So, but yeah, Quibi did not last that long.
Yeah, it lasted about as long as one Quibi.
Exactly, and then Roku bought everything that had been filmed. So, but
I
yeah,
wonder if that was their goal.
yeah, who knows? But Justice League Unlimited, We Are Yesterday again. Can't wait to see where it goes now. It looks like we're just going to get into the big battle next time, so we'll see where that goes. But we will be here to cover it on next week. Again, before you leave, don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, leave us a comment, and hit the notification bell so you're alerted whenever we upload new content. But that's going to be it for this edition of DC Deep Dive. I am Paul. He is Mark.
We are Legion.
And you're now leaving Sector 2815.